The Least Artificial Intelligence in HR will be led by Dr. Corrie, a renowned expert in organizational transformation. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Hello. Good morning. Is it morning still? Yeah, still morning. Good, we made it. We made it. Good job, team. All right, it took me an hour to get here from RAC this morning and another hour to get from the front of the hotel to the back of the hotel. So I hope, all of you probably had the same experience I have. Now, I have been working in leadership and organizational change and executive coaching for more than 25 years. I've learned a lot during that time, and what I wish I had for you was an app. I wish I could bring you an app where you could just install it on all of your employees' phones, and then they would just push buttons and somehow be completely engaged. That would be really great. Wouldn't it be great? And with all of the artificial intelligence that we have today, I thought maybe I could actually deliver that app for you, but that app doesn't exist. I've been looking around for it in the market. It is not there. We have a lot of AI in HR, which is great. But actually what I've found is over the last 25 to 30 years of research, what is the most effective in HR has nothing to do with technology at all. Now, our previous speaker was right. It's engagement, right? But engagement there's no app for that. We don't have an app for that, right? So what I've found is I'm going to bring you the 3 most impactful things that I've learned about leadership and employee engagement. Absolutely none of them require any budget at all. Every single one of them is immensely profitable. I'm a numbers guy. I studied finance at Harvard, so I'll show you some of those numbers as well. Is that okay with you? If I could give you something that you could implement for free that would make you money, would that be a good thing? Right, so let's improve the quality of each other's lives today. We're going to talk about 3 things: meaning, connection, and fulfillment at work. And this might surprise you. First of all, meaning at work. Somebody say meaning.
Meaning.
Not all at once. Come on now. Somebody say meaning. Good. All right. Look, we don't know how many days we get in our life, right? Allah has given us a certain number of days, but He hasn't told us how many we have. We just know that once today is gone, it is never, ever coming back. And so I think anything that any sacred life does for half of his life or her life every single day should be as meaningful as possible, don't you? If we're going to spend half of our lives at work, that work should be meaningful. Because we're never going to get that time back. We just know that once today is over, we're never going to get it back. Once this hour is over, you're never going to get this time back. So it should be as meaningful for you as it is for me. And what goes into meaning when we talk about meaning at work? Well, there's 2 basic ingredients in psychology. It's purpose and significance. Somebody say purpose. Purpose, good. And somebody say significance. Perfect, excellent. So purpose is the need to do. We humans, we have to do something. All of our ancestors earned us the right to be born by contributing. They added value to the tribe. They added value to their society in exchange for a share of the resources. We have to do something, but we can't just do anything, right? If we dig a hole and fill it back in, we're still doing something, but it's not really accomplish anything. So we need to do something that's significant. Well, what's significant? How do we define that? The easy thing about this math problem is that you can make something that you do significant, and that you can make something that's significant something that you do, right? So if you have employees who are doing stuff, very easy to elevate their level of engagement by making what they do significant. Not to you. They don't care about you and the quality of your life. They care about themselves and the quality of their own life. Make it significant to them. How do we make that significant? How do we make what they do now significant to them? Sorry? Purpose. Yes, we connect it with their purpose, their reason for being there. No more carrots, no more sticks. That just turns our employees into donkeys. And if you treat people like donkeys, they'll start to behave like donkeys. So take away the reward structure, take away the punishment structure, and let's connect what people are doing each and every day with their reason for being there. That is significant. I know that you're all in HR, right? You're all in HR, so you all woke up really passionate about filling out forms today, right? Yeah, and PowerPoint. You woke up super passionate about putting together another PowerPoint report, right? No, None of your people woke up passionate about what they do for work. We don't. What we wake up passionate for is who we do it with and why we do it. That is the meaning that we attach to what we do. Actually, it's really interesting because in psychology, we found out that humans are actually very happy to collect garbage as a job as long as they enjoy the people that they're doing it with and they know why they're doing it. It's the who and the why. That's what makes work meaningful, not the what. The what is secondary. But even that, I'll show you how to elevate. Better Up study from 2017 found that 90% of employees are willing to work for 23% less if they're working in a job that they find meaningful. Again, not the what, the who, and the why. If they're connected with those things. I'm not saying you should pay your people less. That's mean. Don't do that. Okay? This is not an excuse to lower people's salaries. That's not fun. I'm just saying they're willing. They're willing to work for 23% less. But even though they're willing to work for 23% less, we actually pay them more. Do you know why? Because they're valued. Because people who find their work meaningful, they work an extra hour a week of discretionary effort. They take 2 less leave days every year because they're less sick. They're healthier. They're happier. So they perform better. So we end up rewarding them. They get more opportunities for advancements and raises because guess what? They find their work meaningful. And again, it's not the what, it's not the spreadsheets, it's not the graphic design that they're connecting with. They're connecting with the people that they interact with the most around them and their personal reasons for being there, which probably have nothing at all to do with the products or services of your organization. You know what all this means, by the way, in terms of math? It's about $9,000 US per employee per year, just so you have a dollar figure on it. I know we're a finance institute, so you might want to know that. But basically, all of this meaning, this was also backed up by Gallup, right? So Gallup found out that all of this meaning adds up to about 41% less absenteeism, 59% less turnover, 17% higher performance, 21% greater profitability for those of you who want the bottom line on meaning at work, and 70% of the variance on all of these benefits on meaning at work, which again, is completely free of charge, requires no budget at all. 70% of the variance on all of these benefits comes down to a single connection in the organization. Can somebody say what it is? Does anybody know what that connection is? Anyone want to guess? I can't hear you. Yell. What?
She said friends.
Friends. Friends is good. Friends is good. Yeah, and there's a really good math for that too. This comes down to the manager. It's the manager. Unfortunately, the relationship that an employee has with their direct line manager, and very specifically for those of you who are into the neurosciences as much as I am, it is the measurement of oxytocin flowing in the employee's head when they make eye contact with their line manager. The higher the level of oxytocin is, the more money you make. That is the truth. If people have a good relationship with their line manager, you make more money. If they have a bad relationship with their line manager, you make less money. That's the math. Are we okay so far? Good. Can we say meaning? What makes our work meaningful? Who and why. And remember, the why has nothing to do with the work. You're not there because you're in love with spreadsheets or PowerPoint, right? You're not there because you're in love with forms and strategies. You're there because you're in love with your families. You're there to provide a good quality of life for your kids. Am I right? That's why we're all there. That's what everyone knows and no one says out loud. Every single one of us shows up to work every single day for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with the company. Don't tell your CHRO. So, when you want to answer the question of meaning for your employees, basically you're going to look for the answers to these two questions. The first is, why are you here? And the other is, why are you here? This is what's absolutely free. And you can train all of your managers to do this all internally. It's not very difficult. It's quite easy, actually. The first question is, why are you here and not somewhere else? Right? All of you are very smart. You're very intelligent. You could be working somewhere else, but you're not. You're working in this organization, whatever your organization is, doing this job, whatever your job is. This is what you've done with your life. All of the decisions you've ever made have led you here. Why are you here? and not somewhere else. Well, first of all, we don't have any victims here, so none of you were arm wrestled into this, I imagine, okay? We don't have any slaves, so none of you are trapped. Every single one of you can get up and leave whenever you want to. And this is the same for your employees, too. Sometimes we want them to think like they're trapped, but they're not trapped. They're not victims. They chose to be here, and they're not slaves. They can choose to leave, right? So, but they don't. Yes. Because they're not idiots. No victims, no slaves, no idiots in our organizations. Remember, each and every one of your employees is the product of 1,000,000 years of successful survival and adaptation. Every single one of them, your ancestors, your ancestors earned you the right to be born by surviving the planet, by doing what was best, by finding the best, fastest, most effective way to reach your goals. And that is what you're doing. And that is what your employees are doing. They are in your organization, in that chair, in that role, because this is the best, fastest, most effective way that they're aware of to reach their personal goals for their personal life, which again has nothing to do with the organization at all. They have a career trajectory plan. They have goals. They want to buy a car. They want to provide education option for their kids, whatever their personal goals are. This is how they're achieving them. And as soon as a better, faster, more effective way becomes available, guess what they will do? They'll do that. But they're not doing that. They're doing this. So this must be the best, fastest, most effective way for them to reach their personal goals for their personal life that they are aware of. Don't underestimate those people that are in your care. Each and every one of them is there for reasons that have nothing to do with the business. And each and every one of them is convinced that this, for now, is the best, most effective way for them to reach those personal goals. Help them to see that. Help them to value that in themselves, that this is their career trajectory. Help them to understand that, look, whatever it is you want to do in your career, you want to be the CEO of Bugatti, fine, but the trajectory from here to Bugatti starts in this room, in this chair. Guess what? Because this is where you are. Whatever it is that your career trajectory has for you, whatever your goals are for your personal life, whatever your employees' goals are for their personal lives, their trajectory, their path from where they are to where they want to be starts in this room. Because this is where they actually are. And they're not victims, and they're not slaves, and they're not idiots. That's why they're here and not somewhere else. Second question. Why are you here and not someone else? Oh, I know your mom told you you were special, right? You're all unique. Every single one of us is unique. Mom said I'm special, right? But look at your CV. There's thousands of people with a CV just like yours, okay? None of them are sitting in your chair. And probably you weren't the only person interviewed for your job. Let's see, how do we do this in organizations? What is our recruiting process? We don't recruit qualified people, first of all. We put out a job announcement. Then the ATS kicks out like 500 CVs. Then we whittle it down to like 10. And then what do? All 10 of those people are qualified. Do we hire qualified people? No. Because if we did, we could just send out a random offer letter to all 10 of them and see which one replies first. Boom, done. Then we hire a qualified person. But we don't hire qualified people. We interview qualified people. We talk to them. Why do we talk to them if what we need is on their CV? What are we looking for? Yeah, compatibility, attitude, personality, culture fit. Yes, exactly right. This is the thing. We've been doing this for thousands of years. You want to come into my tribe? You want to share of the resources? It's not just, you can't just add value. You've got to be a good fit. And this is the phrase that I hear most often when I'm sitting on panels hiring CEOs for large companies. I'll hear this phrase used that a candidate will stand up, walk out, and then one of the board members will turn to the other one and say, oh, that one, he's a good fit. Or, ooh, she's the kind of person. That's the other one I hear a lot of, kind of person. Where is that on LinkedIn? Where is kind of person? Where's that on your CV? That's not on your CV, is it? 10,000 iterations of successfully improving design. What have we learned? We don't hire qualified people, we talk to them. And we hire a good fit, a kind of qualified person. You are a kind of qualified person. And so is each and every member of your team. None of them were hired because they were qualified. They were hired because they were a good fit. It is what's not on the CV that matters. And so the answer to the second question, why are you here and not someone else, is because it's you, not someone else. That's the reality of it. If you can help your employees answer these two questions, they will find their meaning at work. It takes zero budget, and it is incredibly profitable. How profitable? 21% according to Gallup, at 70% according to the manager, is 14.7% of your net profit variance based on these two questions. Are we okay so far? Good. How do you help your people find meaning at work? Sorry? Yell. I can't hear you. Purpose and significance. Significance is made up of why and who. Okay, and the most important who in the organization is the line manager. Whoever that employee reports directly to, that is their most important relationship in the organization. Completely free, by the way, unbelievably profitable. Are we ready for the next one? Are you okay? Good. I'll share these slides with you. I don't care. It's fine. Just request it from me later. I'm not difficult to find, and I have nothing to advertise to you. So find me, and I'll just share these with you. All right. Number 2, connecting at work. This is what we found is unbelievably profitable. Not just connecting with your line manager, but you said it, friends, right? Friends at work. We're gonna get to that. I originally wanted to call this Love at Work, but people didn't really like that title because it's confusing. And then I found this. It is easy to rule through fear, but it takes a rare leader to rule through love. This is our shape. What does he mean by that? What does it mean as CHROs, as business leaders, as CEOs? What does it mean to lead through love? Wait, is it romantic? I'm just checking. Empathy and connection and care, yes. Compassion. You want people to feel like humans, not resources. Okay, if we can just keep that in mind, that'll help us out a lot. But yeah, I think this kind of, love. How do we lead through love? Yeah, actually, we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about love. Can we talk about love at work? Can we do that? I think we should do that. I think if our sheikh can do that, I think I can do that. Can I do that? That would be great. Good, because all the next 8 slides are based on love at work. And see, I was raised in a really loving home. When I was a kid, I grew up with everybody around me telling me that they loved me. And I know that that's not everybody's experience, but I was like, every morning, my parents would be like, oh, Corrie, I love you. I love you so much. And my brothers and sisters and I, we were told to love each other. Even when we hated each other, we loved each other, right? And we were told to love our neighbors. And I went to church every Sunday, and the pastor told us to love our neighbors as ourselves and love one another and all of that. And I loved my dog and my friends and my people at school and my teachers. And then I grew up, and I found out that it was all a really big lie. Because, can you imagine my disappointment when I became an adult and I got a job? Oh, and then I had to spend half of my day every day with people that I was not supposed to love.
They don't love me as well.
And they don't love me as well. So I was shocked. I was like, oh, goodness, this is not the world that I was growing up in, right? And my dad every day is like, oh, son, I love you. And I'm like, Dad, I'm 49 years old. You have to stop this. Honestly, it's embarrassing now. But yeah, I grew up in a really loving home, only to grow up and find out that the adult world is an unloving place. And even if by some horrible circumstance, I happened to love the people that I was working with in my office, I definitely should not say so. Because that would be deeply, deeply unprofessional.
I would be weak.
It would be weak. Yes. So there I was. And I am almost 50 years old now. So it's been 30 years since I've been in the workforce. 30 years of being a closeted lover of loving people around me at work and never telling them. Until one day, about 7 years ago, I was here in Dubai. I was restructuring a large company. It was a $600 million fashion company here. And I was talking to the CEO. He was upstairs in the office. I was downstairs in my car. It was a Friday. It was late after a long week, very hard work. We were doing a lot of restructuring, and some of that restructuring was going to impact on the lives of some very good people, some VPs and SVPs. And we were discussing the communication plan and how to mitigate the impact on some of the people that we knew were going to be hurt by this. So it was an emotional conversation between myself and the CEO of this company. At the end of the conversation, it was about 45 minutes long. I had the phone here, and I brought the phone down. I said, "Oh, such a good conversation. I'll see you on Monday. I love you. Goodbye." Oh. And I was terrified. I was lowering the phone. I was like, "Oh, did I just tell the CEO of a $600 million company that I love him?" And then I heard it through the tiny little microphone, or like little tiny little speaker on and I'm trying to press the red button like as fast as I possibly can to cut off the connection. And I heard it just through here. He's like, "Good work, Corrie. See you Monday. Love you too." Oh. So I put my phone away. We never spoke of it again. That is it. We're not supposed to say such things in a professional environment. But why not? It's culture, is it? I tell my kids I love them. Yeah, it's unprofessional, right? Yeah, you shouldn't say stuff like that. Yeah, Sheikh Mohammed would be very disappointed to find out how unprofessional he has been. I love him so much. Yes, I can say that, right? I can say that out loud and mean it. I think probably one of the challenges we have in English is something you don't have in Arabic, right? You've got 8 different words for love. We've got 1 in English. It's terrible because I can say I love my children on the committed side, and that has nothing to do with romance. And I love chocolate on the non-committed side. I also love Matt Damon. I love Matt Damon movies. Everything I've never met Matt Damon, but I think I love that guy and I love his movies. Anyway, so yeah, between children and chocolate, that's our spectrum. I know, like as a Canadian, I can think of 20 different words to describe snow, but I've only got 1 word for love. I don't think that's fair. In Arabic, you've got 8 words for love. Mahabba, I think, is the one that we're looking for. Yeah, and that's probably the most accurate translation that I can find. So that's what I mean. Okay, so what I mean is somewhere between children and chocolate and probably close to mahabba. Can we say that? Yeah, but it's challenging. But this, remember, this is what kept our ancestors alive. Right? Our ancestors, they earned us the right to be born by knowing who loved them and knowing who didn't. And we talk a lot in leadership about empathy and shared values and belonging and psychological safety and discretionary effort. But the highest form of all of those things is love. The highest form of psychological safety is love. The highest form of empathy, of shared values, of belonging on teams, all of it is love. And we don't talk about that at work. I think that's a challenge. I think that's a challenge for us. Why don't we talk about it? If we talk about empathy and trust and respect, but we refuse to talk about the highest form of empathy or trust or respect, what's wrong? Why don't we talk about this? Because we're shy. Because what? Ego. Yes, because of ego. Because we're afraid to be weak or soft. Yes, we're not good at expressing emotions. That is true. I don't think of love as an emotion. I think of it as a commitment.
Also, the female man thing.
Yeah, there's that romance thing, right?
So that's why we have the other word in Arabic. It's not mahabba, it's ta'azzub.
Ma'izza. Yeah, it's good.
Them like they are dear people.
Yes, that's right.
So also like the differences in culture when it comes to culture.
Of course. Yeah, of course. I completely agree with you. What I want is for us to get used to treating each other like humans, not resources. And for us to maximize that level of belonging and empathy and shared values and psychological safety on our teams and in our organizations. Whether we use mahabba, ma'azza, or whether we say love. I want us to get used to treating each other like humans, not resources. Knowing that our highest form of professional engagement, our highest form of performance, my highest form of commitment to you is if I'm in a relationship with somebody where I would say, yeah, I love that person. Did you know that if humans are working in a job where they don't have a lot of control over what they do for work or how they do it, they're 21% more likely to die in general and 50% more likely to die of heart disease specifically than those that do? That is the human cost of low job control. On the financial side, a study of 400 different companies, each with 100,000 or more employees in it, found that on average, misunderstandings alone cost those companies $62 million every year. That's just from employees feeling misunderstood. Okay, so we need to get this. In order for people to feel loved, they first have to be valued. In order for people to feel valued, they first have to be understood. And in order for people to feel understood, they first have to be heard. And in order for people to feel heard, they first need to be included. And I know we talk a lot about diversity and equity and inclusion these days. That is a good thing, but that is the baseline here. That is level 1 in psychological safety. That is where we need to start if we're going to build this ladder all the way up to the highest form of discretionary effort, no matter what we call it. It's not all doom and gloom. I mean, if you want to know what loved up people, how they impact the bottom line, it's really cool. Because employees who feel loved at work, they're not just happier, they're healthier, right? They take less leave days, less sick days. They have more discretionary effort. And now we're finding out that they live longer lives. Yeah, we don't know how many days Allah has given us in our life. We just know that if we're happy at work and we love the people around us and we believe that we're loved by them, we live longer. Well, I think that's pretty cool. If you, as an HR professional, as an L&D professional, if you as a CHRO of an organization can lengthen the lives of those in your care, wouldn't that add meaning to the work that you do as a leader? I think that would be incredible. Do you know in organizations where, let's say, 40% of their employees say that they have a best friend at work, if they would raise that level from 40% to 60%, their bottom line would increase by 12%. Good science, right? It's happy science. And that's from employees feeling like they've got a bestie in the office. Anybody got a bestie in the office? You got a best friend? Not in this sector. No friends, only frenemies. But those of you who have a bestie at work, you know what I'm talking about, right? You go to work, and actually, you know what, it's funny because in some studies they call it a work spouse. Have you heard this phrase before, work spouse? It's not romantic, don't worry, it's not romantic. But it's somebody that you're like transparent with and loyal to, kind of like your spouse at home, right? But it's in the office, and they're the person that you want to talk to first every day, and you share all the gossip, and it's great because information is shared informally, which is awesome in an organization through these work spouses and besties in the office. Plus, the more work spouses and besties you have in the office, the more profitable your organization is going to be. How much budget do you need to allocate to this? That's culture. Starting to get it? I hope. A little while ago, I started to sign off all of my emails. Love, Corrie. All of them. No more sincerely, no more warm wishes, no more best regards to everybody, by the way, everybody. Like vendors, suppliers, clients, friends, strangers, members of the royal family, ministers of government, love, Corrie. I have been doing this for 2 years now. Sorry? I have sent this at the bottom of every email I have written to members of your royal families for the last 2 years. I make no filter between who I write love and who I don't write love to. Everyone. I wanted to run it as an experiment because I was doing the research for my book, Love at Work, which I'll show you later. But in the research for the book, I decided, I wanted to insert a tiny little bit of love into every email communication that I sent out because email is so cold and wooden anyway. right? If I could just elevate that piece of communication a little bit. I don't think you have to do this. I'm just saying that if you would like to, the experiment is a success. Yes? You can. You can. Yes, there are. That's correct. You can choose anything you want. Good. What I'm telling you is that after 2 years of writing love at the end of every email, thousands and thousands of emails, I have not been reported to any HR departments, and I have worked in more than 100 companies in the UAE over that period of time. Okay? Nobody has complained. Nobody has written back saying, why do you say love at the end of your email? Nobody has questioned it. Males, females, royals, from every culture. Yes, more positively. Even if I'm angry in the email, by the way, because I can be really mad, especially with my customer service agent at my bank. Sometimes I'm like, arr, arr, arr. Love, Corrie. And then I can imagine him reading the email. Hamza, his name is Hamza, poor guy. He's like reading the email. Oh, love, Corrie. Well, it can't be that bad, you know. But it mitigates against all of the potential for interpreting negative feelings through the wooden words of email. We don't have any tone of voice in email. And so something really warm at the end kind of mitigates against any filters that they might have that they're bringing to reading that email. I invite you, if you would like, to join me in this, because I think it would be fun. After today, yes. Honestly, I delivered my TEDx talk on love at work about a month ago in Ireland, and now I think like thousands of people are starting to do this. You don't have to, but you'll make more money if you do. That was really funny. Actually, I was with, I can't tell you the customer's name. I was doing an off-site facilitation for one of the major banks in the region, and I had 17 of their GCXOs and their CXOs all together in one room, and I went through all of this like with them. And the GCEO of this bank says to me, Dr. Corrie, what if we don't want to do it? I said, what do you mean, what if we don't want to do it? He said, the love at work thing, what if we don't want to do it? And I'm like, well, you don't have to, but you'll make more money if you do, right? The science is very clear. So if you don't value your people like that and money like that, I mean, well, you're a bank. Like, what do you value more than money and people? If you'll tell me what it is, I'll leave you alone. That was it. End of conversation. I think now he's signing his emails. Love. Yeah. But yeah, I want you to do this. If you can do this, I mean, you're welcome to join me or not join me. That's fine. Khalil Gibran said, work is love made visible. I completely agree with him. I think if we flood the darkest corners of our companies with the brightest light we have and see what happens, we'll probably all do a lot better. Our employees will be happier, healthier, they'll live longer, and we will make more money as a result of that. You don't have to do it, but it's good science. Also, it's a zero budget line item with a high level of impact. So no, you don't have to do it. But you want to make more money? Don't follow me, follow the science. That's what I'm doing.
One last question. Yeah?
Follow.
So what if the email was not very much pleasing, or you're giving someone a hard time? Would I still say love?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I tell my children I love them even if I'm disappointed in them and I'm correcting one of their behaviors. Yes. I think, yeah, even in hard conversations, it's not that I don't love them. I do. Even my teammates, my clients. I'm an executive coach, and I coach some of the highest level, top tier C-suite leaders in our country. I'm hard on them. I am not an easy coach, but I love each and every one of them. I am there all the time to improve the quality of their lives. That is my job. And I cannot do that to the best of my ability unless I do love them. And I tell them, all of them, no matter which culture they're from. So, how can we be more like those rare leaders that lead through love? The ones that Sheikh Muhammad encouraged us to be. What do you think? What can we do? Yes, treat people the way that you would like to be treated. And even better, treat people better than you are being treated. What else? What can you think of? Spend more time with them. Yeah, have you heard of the 5 love languages? Anyone? Good. It's a book by Gary Chapman. It was originally developed for relationships, long-term committed relationships. I've been teaching it as a management tool for about a decade now. All of your employees speak a combination of 5 basic love languages: affirmation, quality time, acts of service, gifts, and touch. If you can figure out how to use those 5 love languages and figure out which love language is dominant for each member of your team, your communication becomes 10x in terms of what you can accomplish emotively. And that drives their performance when nobody's looking, which is what you actually want. How often are you actually managing your team? 2% of the time? 3% of the time? What are your employees doing during the 97% of the time when they're not being managed at all? Whatever they want. Each and every one of them is an apex predator. Each and every one of them is a product of 10,000 successful generations of survival and adaptation. Every single one of them will do exactly what they want during the 97% of the time when they are not being managed. If they are not aligned with you and your goals through themselves and their goals, they will passively disengage at best, actively disengage at worst. They have access to your resources, your network, your clients. They have access to things that will take resources away from your families. And during that 90% of the time, if they do not feel accepted, valued, developed, if they feel excluded or marginalized in any way, they will use those resources against you. They will tear down the tribe from the inside. 6%, right? Will tear down the tribe from the inside. Fulfillment, the last thing. This is going to be just a couple minutes, then we can talk. You all right? I've done a lot in my life. I'm almost 50 years old. I've raised 5 kids. I've built and exited 5 companies. I've built and buried 2 other companies. I've completed 4 postgraduate degrees, including postgraduate fellowships in finance at Harvard and artificial intelligence at MIT. I've written and published 8 different books in 4 different academic disciplines. And the question I get asked most is not, why did you do it all, but how? And I'm very, very disciplined, but I think what I learned early in my life, in my 20s especially, and probably just watching my father, is that the things that are most fulfilling in my life are the things that didn't make me happy. Do you think raising kids is fun? Anybody got kids? I've got 5 kids. That did not make me happy. No. It was like raising kids is like 15% pure joy and 85% really hard work. Just like everything else. Writing a book, 15% pure joy, 85% hard work. Doing a digital transformation project for DIWA, 15% joy, 85% work. Building a company, running a marathon, all of the really fulfilling things that I've done in my life and you've done in your life, you can probably look back and think, oh, these are the things that I've done that have been most fulfilling. They were 15% joy, 85% work. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, what are those things? Tell me, what was the most fulfilling things? What did you do?
Submitted my dissertation for a doctorate degree.
Amazing, doctorate degree, yes. Fantastic. I remember my first doctorate degree, handing it in, going, wow. I was just so relieved, right? If you climb a mountain, being on top of the mountain is only interesting and fulfilling and rewarding because the climb was hard. It's the difficulty that makes it fulfilling. What else have you done that's been really fulfilling because it was difficult?
Filling the position for an organization is very hard.
Yes.
It's nice to see them sitting in their chairs.
Yes. Filling emeritization positions is hard, but it's nice to see them in their chairs. Yeah, it's a long process. 15% joy, 85% work. Am I right? Okay. See, this is the thing. I think happiness is a distraction from fulfillment. Do you know what happiness is made of? There's 4 ingredients. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Each and every one of us produce it in our brain every single day. Different triggers, same cocktail. You want to be happy? Eat a Big Mac. Watch Netflix. That'll make you happy. Okay? All humans, all cultures, they experience happiness in exactly the same way. It is a combination of those four things, and you can trigger them artificially. But if you want to be fulfilled, you're going to have to get to work. You're going to have to do something hard. So my recommendation is, if you want to be fulfilled in your life, consider choosing hard things. Do hard things because they're hard. And if you have employees, remember, this is really important. If they already know their who and their why, and they're already connected with the people that are there, then make the work hard. Not so hard that it's distractingly difficult. Not so hard that they're overwhelmed and they give up. But only if they're connected with the meaning and they're connected with the people, then make the work hard. Make it hard enough that even you're only 80% sure they can do it. That will energize them. That'll be fulfilling. Not just for you, for them. And guess what happens to the productivity of the organization when you do that? Productivity goes up, performance goes up, profit goes up. Make it hard. So, what are you doing now that truly challenges you? What have you chosen to start? I want somebody, tell me something you've started that's going to take a lot of effort. And it's going to be hard. But you've chosen to do it because doing it is going to be fulfilling when it's done. Something difficult. Yes? Relocating to the Middle East. Absolutely. Yeah, it's hard. You have no idea how much paperwork there is to fill out when you get here. Yeah. 8 weeks. You're just at the start. Welcome. Look, if you need any help, you reach out to me, okay? I'm not difficult to find. Anyone else? Something you've started that's difficult?
We can share my experience.
Yeah.
Sales at the retail category.
Yeah.
Human capital. It's an experience totally for what we are doing.
Amazing.
Marketing and retail and sales and people and all the customers experience.
Yeah.
Employee experience, very difficult.
Very difficult.
The EX, it's so much difficult to go to that kind of,
Yeah.
challenge. But it's difficult. It's 1 year for me now.
Amazing. That's so good. That's a marathon, right? That's not a sprint. That's a marathon. You don't start a marathon thinking it's going to make you happy. Has anybody here run a marathon? Yeah, you don't start a marathon thinking, oh, this is going to make me happy. No, because like 20 kilometers in, you're cursing your past self for having made this decision. Your feet hurt, you're tired, you're thirsty, and you still got 20 kilometers left to go. Doing something hard because it's hard, that's fulfilling. Last year, I started to do something that was really, really difficult for me, and it's because this is really embarrassing. I have a terrible fear of heights. So anything around 2 meters on a ladder, and I start to shake. And it was really emasculating to have my wife hang pictures in my own house because on a ladder that's 2 meters high, I'm shaking and swearing and sweating and then my wife comes behind me and she taps me on the heel and she says, come down, dear, I'll get it. So I climb down the ladder and I give her the hammer and I'm like this, and she takes the hammer and the nail and she goes up, tick, tick, and she climbs back down. And I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. I'm gonna have to fix that. So I chose the hardest thing I could think of to learn. And I got my skydiving license just within a year of the last year. Now I've done 62 solo dives. I've earned my USPAB solo skydiving license, and it was one of the most difficult things that I learned to do. And it's because I have this long history of doing difficult things, doing them because they're difficult, doing them knowing that it's only going to be 15% pure joy and 85% really hard work. And that is the most profitable thing you can learn in business. If you make the work meaningful, if you help them connect, and then you make it really fulfilling by making it hard, that's meaning at work. This is not going to my website. There is not a lead magnet here. I am not going to ask you to insert your email address. This goes directly to my TEDx talk on love at work. It's not even on my YouTube channel. So if you would like to watch the TEDx, you can watch it here. Other than that, I have some time for questions if anybody has any questions. How much time do I have, by the way? Is anybody keeping track of the time? 3 minutes. All right. Who's got anybody got any questions, comments? Yes, go ahead.
How do you draw the line? Because there's a lot of awkward people come across someone really awkward, basically practice this love relationship.
You mean like if I tell them I love them and they say, well, what do you mean by that?
What I meant is, how do you draw that line? How do you know that, okay, this is actually, it's getting really, really awkward, and this is normal?
I explain what I mean.
That was my first question. The second question, have you come across this situation where it became easily awkward?
No, actually, I haven't found anybody really, really awkward about it. And I've told, honestly, thousands of people that I love them over the last couple of years because I was doing the research for the book, and I think I need to drink my own Kool-Aid on this. I think if I'm going to represent this kind of research, I should embody it, right? So I've literally told thousands of people that I love them. Not one of them thinks that it's romantic. At least not that they've told me. And I haven't had anybody say to me awkwardly, oh, what do you mean by that? People seem to sort of get it. It's somewhere between chocolate and children. I know that each and every one of you can think back to somebody that you've worked with before and you would say, yeah, I love that person. Am I right? Even if you never told them. And it fit on the child chocolate spectrum, right? It had nothing to do with romance. Okay, we have an intrinsic understanding of what that is. I'm not saying it in a certain way that causes you to think a certain way. I'm saying it the way that I would say it to my kids, the way that I would say it to Matt Damon. You know, oh, Matt, I love you, man, right? And so we have an intrinsic way of interpreting that that's not awkward. I haven't found that anyway. And I haven't had any complaints. And I've been on hundreds of stages. So, I don't know. You don't have to do it, but you'll make more money if you do. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead.
Showing a lot of love at work, don't you think people will start taking advantage of that love?
Yes, some people will. But the amount of money you'll make will compensate for those people because there's a lot of people taking advantage of the fact that there's not love at work too. And that's driving your performance down and your productivity down. If we don't allow love at work, those people who use fear instead of love as a leadership principle, they will continue to win. And if those people who use fear instead of love as leaders in your organizations, if they are continued to be allowed to use fear instead of love, your profitability is impacted by that. Because the performance of their people is impacted by that. Because the emotional intelligence of your organization and the psychological safety of your organization is impacted by that. So tell me, do you want to make more money?
Yes.
I do. Look, in history, you can look through all of the books, in every culture, okay? People will work hard for a leader that they fear. They will fight for a leader that they respect. They will kill and die for a leader that they love, whom they know loves them back. You want the highest level of discretionary effort on your teams? Convince your people that they are loved. Use whatever words you want. Okay, we've all worked with people that we would say that we loved, even though we never told them. You don't have to use the word. Convince them that they're loved anyway. Yes? Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, it's not a question, but you inspire me because I'm a trainer.
Mm.
So I will add that point in my emotional intelligence course.
Amazing.
So this is going to be a good point that everyone's using it to work with our teams. So it's a good to add it in the training session as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That really blesses me. Right, well, just in case nobody's told you in a little while, I love you. Thank you.